Let's say you have $2 and you owe somebody half a dollar. So you take away half a dollar. What's $2 take away half a dollar? $1.50. Say you got that $1.50 now. Somebody comes around and says, hey, you owe me half a dollar. I'm like, oh man, I got to give him that half a dollar. I just have $1 left. Now I have that dollar. Somebody else comes along and says, hey, you owe me half a dollar, Mr. Chohan. Oh, that's right, I loaned you money for this. No. So a dollar minus a half is how much? A half. Oh, now I have half a dollar left. So now I have my half a dollar. One other person comes and says, hey, Mr. Chohan, remember you loaned me half a dollar last week? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. So I got to give him that half a dollar. How much money do I have now? Zero. But here's the thing. I still borrowed a half a dollar from somebody else. And that person comes up and says, Mr. Chohan, you owe me half a dollar. But I don't have any money on me, do I? So what do I say to them? I owe you half a dollar. So that's the whole phrase, I owe you. So instead of writing letters, I owe you, just write it as negative half a dollar. So this negative just means I owe you. So think of this right here as saying, I owe you half a dollar. Not $12. That's terrible math. I owe you half a dollar. So when we're dealing with negative numbers, we always think in terms of like owing something or something below, like in the winter. When it gets really cold, it gets into the negatives, right? It gets 5 below 0. That would be negative 5. I mean, 0 degrees Fahrenheit is here, and it still gets colder than that, which is another 5 degrees. So you have some base level. That's your 0. If you're in the positive, that means you're above it. If you're negative, that means you're below it. So in this case, in order for me to function without any issues, if I had 0 money, that'd be fine. But if I started owing somebody something, I have nothing to give. So now I'm below with what I can give. I'll ask you this. Let's take a look at this point right here. That point right there is at 10.5. This point down here is at negative 12.5. So this is at 10.5, this is at negative 12.5. Which number is bigger?
Negative 10.5.
Well, this isn't negative, this just means 10. This is an arrow. So which number is bigger?
Negative. Oh, wait, no. Negative 12.
So you're saying this number is bigger than this number?
No, it's negative 10.5.
So what's your answer?
10.5.
10.5 is bigger. Why is 10.5 bigger? How could you explain it, why this one is bigger? Because it would seem, your first guess would be, well, 12 is bigger than 10, right? If I were to look at this, if I were to measure this, this is 12.5 and away. If I were to look up here, well, that would be this far away. It looks like negative 12.5 is bigger, because it's a bigger distance away from 0. But why is it that this is actually bigger than this one? Yes?
Because it's higher.
Well, you could say if it's higher, that's a good way to look at it. If it's higher, then it's got to be bigger. Any other explanations?
Because when it's negative, that means it's like going lower.
All right, yeah. So when we're talking about negatives, we're going lower and lower. So that means if you're getting lower and lower, the number usually is getting smaller and smaller. So you can think in terms of it that way.
Higher and higher.
Yes?
Well, if you really think about it, that negatives are below 0, and like the positives that are the whole numbers, they're above 0.
Yeah. So looking at this is 0 right here. So we're above 0. This is below 0. Which numbers are bigger? Big numbers above 0 or numbers below 0? Above. Numbers above 0 bigger than numbers below 0. So when you can just look at the sign and say, well, if that's positive, that has to be bigger than that. All right, and think of it again in terms of money. Do you have more money if you have $10.50? Or do you have more money when you owe somebody $12.50? You have more money when you have $10.50. You don't even have $12.50. You actually have to owe it. I mean, you don't even have any money, and you got to give somebody else some other money. So that makes it even worse. So try to think of it in terms of that. But a good visual, if it's above, it'd be positive. I'm sorry, if it's above the other, then it's bigger. And which makes sense here. If I were at 6.5, this guy is bigger than this guy, isn't it? And you could say, well, it's above it, so it's bigger. And it even works here. This guy is bigger than this guy. You have $6.50. You owe $12.50. Well, you have more when you actually have money. All right. Any questions on that? That's basically the idea. You're labeling things and seeing where they are on the graph. So we'll stop there with that video. Hello, I'm the subscribe button. Please click on my head right here to get more notifications when other videos come out. If you're still guessing whether you should watch some of these videos, you might enjoy this one. My last video is right here. Enjoy your day.